Good morning. Hey, this is DK, and I wanted to do a real quick video on my recent move from Cincinnati, Ohio to Phoenix, Arizona. And I wanted to do this video just to talk about my little journey and even why I even made the move and just a few things I've learned. So one, my husband and I had talked about moving about 5 years or so ago, and at the time I was like, Cincinnati is cool, the cost of living is not bad, and it wasn't too much craziness going on, and the job market is decent. So I'm like, you know, and I was so-called trying to start my little side business as far as like doing trainings and other little stuff. I was like, let me get that started, and then also I was preparing to take, not preparing to take, but also preparing to get my hours for my clinical, to set for the exam for the clinical license, because I'm licensed in the state of Ohio as a social worker. So, so cute, just running with his dog. Guess hopefully you can see that. So at the time I was like, okay, I'm trying to get these things off and running. Let's chill for a little bit. So, okay, it's just a little lizard. So, shit. Okay, it's just a lizard. so, so 5 years go past, and I found myself in a rut. I'm not really doing much of anything. I'm not utilizing my license. I'm not necessarily utilizing my degree. I'm not really just doing much of anything. And I think I was just going through just a mental, just a stagnant place in my life. And I think what really triggered the move to Arizona, was like, there's nothing really holding me back besides, okay, I am the only child living. And so my concern was, okay, so I'm up to my parents, what would I need to do? And I'm like, well, being a social worker, you always make something happen. I realize whenever there's a need for a patient, I make sure that I find out some answer, be results oriented. Like, I'm gonna get you something, and it's going to be something you can need and is available. So I'm like, okay, that shouldn't be no problem. Moving on. But also I realized I just been stuck in a rut, and I haven't done much with myself. And I currently work at a renal facility, and dialysis centers is all over the daggone world. So it shouldn't be hard to find a job. It's just if there's something available. And sure enough, there was a couple of positions available. So I'm like, let me apply, let my CM know everything worked in my favor, got the position. So I had a job waiting for me in Phoenix. So that was a plus. And my husband, he has his own business. So he was in the process of kind of setting up, people and his rapport here in Phoenix, Arizona. So things, things were moving along. Um, so I have to say that we was very fortunate how everything fell into place. I feel like it was almost kind of like destined, even though I never saw this coming or even thought twice about moving, let alone this far west. Because we were able to sell our home. We was able to, my husband's son he's transitioning nicely into adulthood. And it's been a little rough in Arizona as far as when we got here, finding housing, um, getting settled, as far as like just finding things, and trying to build, not necessarily build rapport, but just getting connected to other people. But in due time, things will fall even in place with that as well. So one of the things I learned is, first of all, I'm lightweight, a procrastinator, and I waited till last minute to try to prepare for, to see about my license. So that was one, and I end up pretty much have to retake a license, which I was a little annoyed about that, but it is what it is. But what I should have done, as soon as we talked about moving, especially this year, or even prior, I should have been looking because things change all the time. But I should have started. I called, had my questions together, and called because the sites are cool, but it don't really give you much detail. So that was one I should have really had my ducks in a row to understand the system down here when it comes to transitioning with your license. Second, it's always good to have a support system. Yes, me and my husband came down here together, which is a plus. But it would have been even better to have other friends or relatives. I just never realized I never moved that far, besides Ohio, and that's just a couple, 2 hours away from Louisville. But it would have been helpful just to again have connects, understand the city a little bit better. But if you have that, that's a plus. Keep it, get it. But that's a good thing about just moving to other places. You're gonna have your different flavor of folks, but the good thing is that you're always gonna run into some good people. It's just having that discernment of who that is. Another thing I learned is just being patient, but also having a plan in place. Like I said, when I was in Ohio, I really was stagnant. But even here, when we moved, I was just so drained, lightweight, because of the move that kind of knocked me off my course a little bit again. But just making sure you have your place of rest, but then also get back in gear. I encourage individuals who are moving or who are in a rut to just take the time to acknowledge that, because there's nothing wrong with it. I think most people it happens to, but making sure that you honest with yourself, that you realize that, and make small steps in incremental steps to get to that place that you're trying to be at, try to go to. Or if you're thinking about moving to another state, I was very nervous because I was comfortable, but then also I was like, I don't want to move too far because Phoenix, Arizona is far. But it was a great move, and it just really opened my eyes to just different perspectives that I didn't get in Ohio. So I hope that you got something from this video, and definitely subscribe. And if you have any other questions, definitely leave them below, and be prepared for other videos. Peace out.